everybody. So it is day 3 of my 11 days of cold process Christmas. So today we're going to talk about something kind of fun, kind of funky, kind of totally me. So, what can you mix in soap? We've talked about how you take your lye solution and you take your oils and you mix them together and you get soap, right? But I don't stop there. And I have a lot of fun trying different things and being inspired by the trips we take, the places we see, the amazing, incredible parks we get to visit, and things right here in our own backyard. So, I'm just going to kind of go over different things like, can you add that to soap? And tell you kind of how I do it. So, if you want to try it for yourself, make sure to either follow myself or one of the other amazing artisan soap makers here on YouTube. Of course, Brambleberry, Soap Queen TV with Anne Marie, Royalty Soaps with the Duchess of Suds, Katie. Those are both absolutely great resources. Those are two that Kiddo and I love to watch. So follow along if you're not comfortable making soap. Learn how to do it first before you start adding in all of this crazy stuff and trying different things. I've been crafting soap for over a decade, and it's just really fun to try some different stuff and really let my life inspire my artisan soap. So we'll start with things that are a little bit more common that you might have already seen, and then we'll dive into some other stuff that's a little bit different and people say, you did what? So first up, this is my Coral Pink Sand Dune soap. Mr. Gray actually came up with this pattern. Not sure if you can see it too well there, but this is actually a 3-layer pink soap, and it has pumice powder mixed throughout. So it's a great little, like a pumice stone that you'd have, but it's actually a soap mixed with pumice stone. So this is a design he had after he fell in love with visiting Coral Pink Sand Dunes for the first time. And that's a state park in Utah. So that's this one that is available both online and in our painted tree in Orem, Utah. So that's kind of a standard, what you normally see. Something else you can do. This is my goat's milk soap. So, of course, a little fun design. But you can absolutely do something like mix a milk product in with your soaps. If you're going to do something like this, where you start adding in milks, you need to do your research. There's different ways that you have to process this than a regular batch of soap, but you can absolutely do it. And I might have something that I'm working on up my sleeve for those that prefer not to use any animal products. Most of my products have no animal byproducts in them. I do have a few. Goat's milk soap is one of them, but I'm also working on some non-animal product alternatives to something like this. So you'll have to watch and see where that comes. Then we have something like this. It's got a nice golden brown color. You can see that in there. This is actually mixed with local honey. And I am a big proponent of local honey in your diet if it is something that meets your dietary requirements. But I believe that it helps with allergies. I believe it's super good for you as part of your diet. So we have an amazing local honey maker, and I use the honey that we use in our honey French breads, in our baking, and our cooking. I also use that in here, and this was super fun to try. Definitely a little different than working with a regular bar of soap. And that's what you'll find out is when you start adding different things, your soap might not behave the same, and that's totally okay. You just kind of have to ride out that first wave and figure out what happens and then go from there. That was my life with this here, with the goat's milk. So we'll move from that to things like, can you use dried plant products? Yes, you absolutely can. And I have several. So something like this where I don't have anything added. So far, everything you've seen has been mixed into the actual batter of the soap. This one is just right on the top. This is my lavender soap, and these are lavender buds, which are just mixed right on top. And you can see that there's going to be a little discoloration. These are things you just have to kind of account for when you're adding different things in. This soap here has this beautiful teal and orange color, if I can get it to focus in on that. And this has orange peel, dried orange peel actually in it, so you get a little bit of a scrub on there. This is another soap that the family designed. Most of these, either I come up with them, or we actually sit down as we're traveling and we'll say like, okay, well, what was really cool? What do you remember? I've done several soaps from being inspired by the Badlands. This soap, the goat's milk soap, is actually inspired by my uncle, who was a goat farmer. And so that's why this is called Rock the Goat, because that's from my uncle. So this one is also inspired by a family member that we had pass. And so we've got that teal color, that little bit of scrubby orange. And then we do things like this, where I have this obsession with the desert, the smell after it rains. So I started doing research on what that smell is. Why all of a sudden there's just this incredible, almost intoxicating smell after it rains? Well, it's a plant called creosote, and it's long been used on the herbal side of things. So I dried it. I have it all over the ranch. I dried it and I grind it up and I actually use it in this soap. So not only do you get a nice little scrubby soap, but you also get to smell the desert after it rains when this gets wet. So it has a little bit of a scent now, but when it rains, when it's wet, so when you're in the shower or washing your hands, it's really when that smell opens up. So that's the typical things you see. Now, I've also gone a little bit further down the road of fun, and I've done things like this. You know what these are? So this is made with a peach beer. This is made with a bourbon barrel cherry beer. And yes, there is actually beer in these soaps. Isn't that so fun? I think that it's just the most fun thing. Now, this was a huge learning curve, and I love making beer soaps. And actually, I'll get to it, but I have something I'm going to ask of you guys. So, these are super fun to make. You get lots of nice swirls, but one thing you do have to account for is that it's going to be completely different making a soap with lye water solution and making a soap with beer and lye. So, different things to think about, but it's a lot of fun. And yes, you can absolutely make beer soap. And then, this might be my favorite. Any guesses on what's in that? This is made with Charleston tea plantations tea. And yes, there is actually brewed tea as well as the ground tea leaves in this. They are the only tea plantation in the United States. If I only drank one thing for the rest of my life, it would be tea. And I was blessed enough to get to live in Charleston for a while, and I visited the plantation. And when I got to go back with Kiddo and Mr. Gray, I took them back there and we bought this, and I was like, if I can make beer soap, I'm making tea soap, and I did it. So I love this soap too. But really, the worst that happens if you try is that it doesn't work and you have a batch of soap that, well, all right. So don't try a huge batch, try a normal batch, just make a little bit, see how it goes, but jump in and have fun. I just think it is the coolest thing to get to create products that are inspired by my life around me and really get to see exactly what parts of each park or what part of living in the desert inspires my artisan soaps. So I hope you enjoyed and kind of got to know a little bit more about just what you can put in soap. All of these things, as you can see, I created bars of soap with all of those additives. And it was funny, as I was thinking about this, I'm like, oh, I have a couple to pull out, show them. And then I was going, 1, 2, 3, 4. I make a lot more with additives than I thought. But I do have a question for you guys now. I did have a beer distributor that I was using exclusively, but I've decided I want to branch out. So If you have a favorite local beer in the Phoenix area that you think would make an amazing soap, leave it in the comments. If you have a favorite beer that you have tried somewhere, leave it in the comments. Let me know the distributor, let me know the name of it, and I'm going to see if I can find it. And I want to make some amazing soaps. I do have a couple coming down the pipeline from our trip to Yellowstone last year, because it was actually some beers based off the national parks, which how could I not want to do those? But I would love to get some ideas on your favorite. And I don't mind making just a regular straight beer soap, but I do love getting to play with those notes. So, like a peach or a cherry. I've made that pumpkin porter before. So, if you have a favorite beer company, a favorite beer that makes a really cool, different kind of beer, I'm from Colorado, so I grew up with microbrews. Let me know. Shoot me a message, put it in the comments, like and follow along so that when I make it, you can see which one it is. But please let me know some. I'd love to get some advice and help on where you think I should find my next beers from. So I hope that this answers some questions on just what you can put in soap and not really what you can't, because you can try it. Who knows? It might be your next favorite soap to make and to use. So until next time, adventure awaits. We'll see you tomorrow for day 4. But this was day 3 of the 11 days of cold process Christmas. Bye!